welcome to Cavan TV's News and Views, Ireland's first live web TV current affairs programme with over 1.8 million views in 214 countries, and we are on a web TV site near you. Good evening, my name is Áine and we bring the programme to you weekly on Fridays 7 to 8 Greenwich Mean Time. Each week we take a look at what is going on in the county and invite guests to chat live in the studio. If you have an event you want us to know about or an issue you'd like discussed, well, please email us at drumlamedia@gmail.com. So anything interesting going on, please do let us know. We had a great programme last week, and once again I'd like to thank my guests in the studio. I'd like to say thanks to Gráinne McPhillips and Amanda Monaghan. They told us all about the Cavan Rainbows capers that took place in the All-Ireland finals they were in Navan, and they also spoke about the activities of Mackin na Ferma, of which they are members. The two girls also sang live in the studio, and we had great fun. I'd also like to say thanks to Sinn Féin councillor Noel Connell from Ballyjamestuff, and he spoke candidly about the problem of drugs in our towns and villages here in County Cavan. Now, if you want to see last week's programme, please go on to Vimeo at Vimeo/Drumlamedia and watch the recent uploads. This week's programme, we've got something like, can you hear that? We've got birds singing. Can you hear the birds singing? Maybe not just yet. Now, and also I've got a very interesting guest in the studio who's come all the way from New York to talk about us and tell us about an upcoming visit of the Cavan team to New York. Stay tuned for that. Now, congratulations this week. What we've done this week, we'd like to say congratulations to Áine O'Reilly, who started his tenure as the GAA president this week. Great celebrations, and if you want to see all about that, you can log on to All About Sport with Louise O'Reilly, and there are some great interviews and coverage of that there. And breaking news this week I just want to tell you about. For those of us who are familiar with the Granite Road just out of Ballinya, they know exactly how dangerous some of the bends are on that road. I joke you not, folks, some of the corners are actually 90 degrees. Well, just this week, the Irish Roads Association, in conjunction with the Cavan County Council, have announced plans for compulsory acquisition of land. Work will be done in two phases. Phase 1 is 1 kilometre of realigned road just outside of Ballinya in the Garrymore-Brusky area, and Phase 2 will join with another 2 kilometres, and that will take you to a roundabout that will take you in the direction of Ghana. Work will take place early in 2016. What's going on around Cavan? Well, the most obvious thing is the Irish Water Company's pipeline works. It's everywhere. Traffic lights all around town, and you can't avoid them. And we would just have to say, folks, P&S workers, you guys have got to be the worst traffic controllers around town. I'm sorry. So folks, do watch out. If you're leaving somewhere, do go earlier because there are delays around town, especially at school time and work times. Okay, so moving on, we go to some local news. What's going on in your local area this week? Now, of interest to the Cavan Older People's Forum, they have opened a drop-in centre in the Johnston Central Library. It's on Monday mornings. It starts at 11:30 and it goes on till 2 in the afternoon. Everybody is welcome to drop in for a chat, and it's on each Monday, and for 6 weeks there will be talks given by different groups, all aimed at making the life easier for the older person. Line dancing continues on Tuesday evenings in the Copper Kettle in Kilnalek, beginners at 7:30 and advanced at 8:30. In Ballinya, the women's group are having a talk in Brady's Bar Monday evening. A dietitian will be on hand to give advice on healthy eating, and everybody is welcome. Moving on, Arva are cleaning up. Just listen to this, folks. Arva are cleaning up. They put a note in the local news this week. They are saying there is a clampdown on doggies pooing on the streets. So if your pet poos, you must pick it up. I kid you not. Please bring a poo bag when you are walking your dog, and do keep our towns clean. You do know that there is a fine for your dog pooing. Okay, so the Cornwall Theatre in Carrigallen is putting on the last 3 nights of The Dead School. That's on this weekend. It's on tonight, Saturday night and Sunday night, and curtains are up at 8 o'clock. Line dancing again in the cut, I have said that. We'll move on to the next slide. And okay, moving on. Bailieborough sends us notice that a new photography club is starting up. Go along to the Hotel Bailey on next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and everybody is welcome, as there will be an inauguration speech there. The Slieve Gow Drama Group are putting on Off the Hook on Friday and Saturday night this weekend. It's on for 2 nights only, folks, so that's your chance to see it tonight and tomorrow night. It's an hilarious comedy, and curtains are up at 8:30. There's a cooker demonstration in St Mary's Hall, Swanley Bar on Tuesday next, that's March the 3rd. Adrian Martin from Bunboy is the chef on the night, and that's to raise funds for Swanland Cultus Cotier Erin. Now, folks, this is the serious part of the programme. We want you to be vigilant and aware. Gardaí and County Cavan have issued a warning to shopkeepers this week as there is a high standard of counterfeit 20 and 50 euro notes in circulation at the moment. Also, there's a note there to say that please be aware because there are phone calls from supposedly Microsoft, and that is actually a scam to get you to disclose your bank details. Now, folks, Gardaí say, and they reiterated, they have made contact with Microsoft. Microsoft do not make calls of this nature. So be aware, if you get a crank call like that, just totally hang up the phone, okay? So moving on, the Cavan Hill Walking Club, they gather outside the Orchard Bar in Drummondley on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. Pooling of cars will be arranged. All you need is good walking boots and a good lunch. Okay, Carrigallen support group are having their talk, and that will be facilitated by Therese Hackett. Therese will give a talk on positive thinking, and that's next Friday evening in the Bra Old School at 8:30. And in the Good Stir Community Hall in Belturbet tonight, and you have still got time to go for it, you can take part in a sound meditation class. This relieves stress and improves sleep. Classes are 15 euros and you must book a place, so call 087 221 0779 for the following weeks. And moving on, in Cootehill, the Happy Feet Walkers go walking on Wednesday evenings and on Sunday mornings. The gathering point is outside Michael's Hall, and you can join them on Facebook to see the list of their planned walks. Okay, there is a fashion show in the Lavian tonight at 8 o'clock, and that's to raise funds for So Sad. So Sad, as you know, is the organisation set up to save our sons and daughters, and that is to help people suffering from depression and to stop the awful thing of people committing suicide. And if we can help one person, you are doing a fantastic job. And just to follow up on that, we would like to mention as well that the Aware Support Group, that is the group that works and supports depression, they have a meeting every Wednesday evening in the Bridge Street Centre. That's 8 o'clock. And for further information there, you can ring 086 162 9948. And also on the topic of So Sad, we will just throw out the 24-hour emergency number. The local number is 042 966 8992. And also you've got the Samaritans there, and they've got their low call number, and that's 116 123. I'll give you that again. It's a free call or a low call number. It's 116 123. And the Aware Support line is 1890 303 302. I will say that again, the Aware Support line, 1890 303 302. Okay, so that takes me to my first guest tonight. In the middle of my reading the news there, you were meant to hear a cuckoo, but it didn't happen. But I have the lady with all the information, all the sounds and all the information. And with me in the studio, I have my first guest this evening. I'd like to welcome Heather Bothwel. Thank you, Heather, for coming in. You came in from Killashandra, isn't that right, Heather? And Heather, you are the chairperson of the Cavan branch of Birdwatch Ireland.
I am indeed.
Okay, so you are not a Cavan lady. You come all the way from Ballymena and settled here now.
Yes, but I'm down here a long time.
How long are you here now?
Oh, that's too long to say. I'm married 20 years, so that's a start.
Yeah. So you were telling me, we were speaking earlier, Heather, and it is, people might think, Birdwatch Ireland, what do they do? What's it all about? But you were fortunate that when you grew up in Ballymena that you had access to a group that did watch birds and intoned in you the love of watching birds and looking out for birds. But I just want to ask you, what is the purpose of Birdwatch?
Well, Birdwatch Ireland is a charity. It's a non-government organisation, and its objective is to protect wild birds and protect the habitat that wild birds need.
Okay, so when you're speaking the habitat of wild birds, you're talking about where they live naturally.
Just where they live,
of course.
But that's quite varied. And when you think about it, there'll be water birds that need the lakes that Cavan's famous for, and the river birds, and there's birds that need the uplands, and there's farmland birds. And farmland has changed a lot, even over the past 30 years.
Yes. Ooh, yes. Now, what about global warming and our cultural ways of carrying on? Is that having an effect on bird life?
Well, global warming is a big experiment. We don't really know. We can speculate, and they create great big computer models of these kind of things. We don't really know. But unfortunately, it looks like there will be big changes, and that will affect birds. And farming has changed. We all know farming's changed, and not only in Ireland, because our birds are international. When you think about it, our birds are coming from Africa, they're coming from Iceland at various times of the year. So birds are international, and there's big changes all over the world.
Is it true that from cutting the hedges that we've destroyed the cuckoo? Is that why?
We don't know. We don't know. It's probably a big range of things that's happened. Cuckoos are insectivorous, and they're quite a big bird. I mean, they're as big as a hawk.
They eat insects.
They eat insects. So they need to have the insects there, and they're particularly good at catching caterpillars. Caterpillars turn into moths ultimately, and so, you know, to feed a caterpillar you need quite a lot of moths.
Yeah, so we have to be, you know, in tune with what we're doing with nature, because you can change the pyramid, we can destroy life forms from doing things. And as you can see as well, you know, the turf cutters have their issue with the industrialisation of the bogs and things like that, but we won't get into that. Heather, I am so ashamed to say that I don't know one bird from another, but you have got some wonderful pictures that you've brought in, and you do bird watching, and you go out and you go out into places, into the different areas that do have different habitats, different indigenous birds, and also we'll talk about the dawn chorus as well and the sounds of the birds. So we'll talk about first, we'll talk about the dawn chorus.
Right. Well, dawn chorus, Birdwatch Ireland always organises a Sunday morning. This year it's on the 17th of May, and it's at 4:30 in the morning. But that's because the birds are singing at 4:30 in the morning. You get up and you go back to bed. But we'll be meeting in Ballyborough, and we'll be meeting in Killishandra.
Okay, so if anybody wants to see the information on these kind of things, they can log on to Birdwatch Ireland, get the Cavan news, Cavan branch.
Well, there's two things. There's birdwatchireland.ie, which is the national website, and then we'll have our own local blog, which you just Google Cavan branch Birdwatch Ireland, but it's a blog, and we have all the information of what's happening in County Cavan.
You were telling me a most amazing thing there when we were talking briefly before we came on the air, that actually birds are being tagged now. You can map the path of a flight of a bird now, because they've been tagged to find out what they're doing, is there changes in their life. So that's very interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it's very expensive. There's satellite tagging. They're sticking little satellites on their backs, and from that they're learning an awful lot. They're learning that the routes that cuckoos are taking down into Africa and the routes back, and the birds, and it's cost a lot of money, and a lot of this has been raised by public funds. It's happening in GB, that's where they've been raising the funds, but they're tracking them, and you can go onto our website, and I looked at it today, and the cuckoos on their way back. Spring's coming. They've started heading back north. They've left the Congo, and these are places on a map to me, but these are our birds down in the Congo, and they've moved up to the Central African Republic at the moment.
That is really interesting. And also you've brought in your atlas of birds, isn't that what you call it?
This is called the atlas.
Tell me about that. We don't actually know, folks, if that is in the library, but this is a Birdwatch Ireland book, and it's a complete atlas of
this great big tome is a result of lots and lots of volunteers. And
show it to the camera,
great big
Heather.
book, it's weightlifting.
This book, have an idea
years of work, 4 years work, but it's citizen science. So volunteers in County Cavan, County Leitrim, and all over Ireland were out birdwatching from 2007 to 2011 to collect information. Where are the birds? Is there a change in population? All this kind of stuff. So Cavan is on the map in this great big book.
That's fantastic. And folks, if you want to see that book yourself, you can go into the library and see is there a copy of it.
Well, we're hoping it'd be great if the library does. Cavan branch has a book. Now it's quite an expensive book, but it's an amazing piece of work done primarily by volunteers.
Fantastic stuff. And also you've got the news leaflet there that only people in the Birdwatch Association get.
The branch, anybody can come along. You don't have to be a member, but as I said, because it's an NGO, we're reliant on membership. So when people join Birdwatch Ireland, they get a magazine quarterly. This is the Wings magazine, and it's full of photographs and information.
Okay, now you've brought in some pictures and sounds, and I just hope now that we're going to have them come up on the screen. And this is where you're going to bring the birds off the page of the magazine. You're going to bring them to life, and you're going to make people say, "My God, I thought birds were just birds." Okay, so have we got some of the pictures coming up now? What did you put in? You sent
Well,
in someone.
I sent pictures of the cuckoo, which
Now,
there we
tell
are.
us
There's a
about it.
cuckoo, and
That's a real cuckoo.
that's a cuckoo. And a lot of people don't
Where's
see
that?
it. No, they're giant sound, but we know what a cuckoo sounds like. Cuckoo sounds like a
But
cuckoo.
people sometimes think a
Well,
wood
Yes,
pigeon
and
is a
because
cuckoo.
the population of cuckoo has gone down, unfortunately, a lot of young people are growing up and they don't know what a cuckoo
No.
sounds like. It used to be that everybody knew what a cuckoo sounded
Yeah.
like. There's the cuckoo, the young cuckoo being fed by a robin.
Now just look at that. That is absolutely some photograph. A young cuckoo being fed by a robin, the
And he
robin
will
is
grow
smaller
and
than-
grow.
Yes.
He will grow and grow. And I mean, it's amazing how they.
Is he giving them a berry?
No, that'll be an insect.
Oh,
Because robins eat insects and so do cuckoos.
So
No,
could
they're
you
not
say
seed
that
eaters.
word again there?
Insectivorous.
Insectivorous. Okay,
Insectivorous.
that's a new word, folks.
Now,
Now, insectivorous.
That's another summer visitor. But I mean, the cuckoos stay here for really quite, you think about it, a short time. They're here in April, May, and they're gone July, August. Very short time.
Okay.
So that's
now
a
you
house
tell me
martin.
That's where does he build his
They
nest now?
build in the eaves, underneath the eaves of
Are they the
of
ones that wreck the side of your house?
Well, that's a matter of opinion. I mean, you can look up and see the wonderful architecture, or you can be the kind of person that looks down and sees the mess.
Sees
But
the
it
birds
depends.
and-
It depends what you look at.
Okay.
But the amazing thing about these is they haven't satellite tagged these yet. They don't know where they go in Africa.
Oh, really?
We don't know where these
So
creatures
you
go.
may
They
tag
have-
one of them soon.
well, this costs money. Now, the reason that's a meadow pipit, and that is the prime victim, can we say victim of the
Yeah.
cuckoo, because the cuckoo comes along, watches the female, watches when she's laying eggs, and the female cuckoo comes along and lays her eggs primarily in meadow pipit's nest in Ireland. Now, it's a little brown bird, it's not very exciting, but the cuckoo needs meadow pipits to parasitize. That's
Okay,
why
so
that
you can
one-
see, folks, the size of the bird there, because you can just know exactly the barbed wire, what that looks like, and that is the actual size of the bird. Have we any more photos now? Oh, yes, that's the typical robin, isn't it?
That's a robin.
That's a real robin.
That's a real robin.
He's a very friendly little bird. Everybody has a little friendly robin in the winter time, don't they?
They're very friendly, but they're also quite aggressive. They will
They
fight.
can be very cheeky as well.
Yeah, they fight with each other.
They're
They
very
can be
brave
really,
little birds.
really aggressive. Lovely bird.
Now,
And they're singing now.
Yeah,
They're
in your
singing.
years of you know, your experience of birds and things like that, can you see a little change? You know, the way our climate is changing. Sometimes the seasons seem to. We can have 4 seasons in one day. Sometimes we can get the summer in the beginning of spring. Do you think is that having an effect on birds? Just briefly, should we be concerned?
Oh, we should always be concerned, I believe. You know the game Jenga? It's a pile of blocks, and you pull out one block, and,
Yes,
and
of
eventually it all falls down.
That's exactly what I'd be worried
So
about.
if you don't take care, eventually I'm afraid that things. But anyway, this is why Birdwatch Ireland does serious scientific research. It's not just hearsay. So they gather the data, they do the work. So we know that certain birds are increasing, and sadly certain birds are
Yeah,
decreasing.
so you're just keeping an eye on that.
So unfortunately, some of the birds that are decreasing are migrants. They're the ones that go to Africa and come back. So things like your cuckoo, things like swifts, which are
That's
another
an
bird.
amazing
Another bird I
That
have
is
a photograph
absolutely
of.
amazing bird, yeah.
They,
He doesn't have no legs, isn't that right?
they
Nearly.
look- no, well they have tiny little stubs of legs, but they don't perch. It's a bird you won't see perching on the wire. You won't see it sitting on a post. They fly the whole time. They sleep on the wing. They mate on the wing. And so a bird that has been reared in a nest, say in Cavan town, head off to Africa, and he won't perch until he comes back maybe 3 years later to breed.
Absolutely amazing. I think we have a few more photographs coming up, and we're going to go through them now. And we have a snipe coming up, and maybe sometime we'll get to the look at this.
Aye.
He's like a chameleon, really, isn't he?
Beautiful bird, and a bird that now
Do you hear that sound?
that is the
Do it
Cavan.
again, Dave.
Cavan phrase for that, I'm told, is a sky goat, because it sounds like a goat.
Do you hear that?
And that's not made by the vocal, that's made by the tail. It comes down and the wind goes through the tail. That's the male calling. And the snipe is a bird of wetlands. Now, of course, it's declining because nobody likes wetlands. You can't grow grass on wetlands and you can't keep cattle on wetlands. But snipe is a beautiful bird of wetlands, characteristic of this part of the world. One of my favourite birds, very enigmatic.
Okay, so what else have we coming up, Dave? Have you got anything on sounds? On the dawn chorus?
Now,
perhaps?
there's
What's
a swallow.
this?
That's a swallow. Now, you see it's perching.
Yeah.
That's one you know immediately. It's not swift, because because it's perching. They're the ones that nest in with the cows and in the byre with the cows.
Are they the ones that fly over your head?
Yes, the twittery.
When you go out to the clothesline.
Yes, they're the summer, and it's coming. I tell you, the spring's coming.
That's a good sign when we see the swallows.
That's the swallow.
Okay.
They come a bit earlier than the swift.
Okay,
so
and
he's
I don't know, have we many more photographs coming up?
Well, there's the swift. This is the one I want to mention because this is the one that's in trouble, but it's closely associated with people. It lives in towns, so we have
He's
swift.
an urban bird.
He's an urban bird. He's in Cavan town. He's nesting in the Ulster Bank in Cavan town, and there's promotion from the Ulster Bank. He's nesting.
Maybe he knows something we don't know. Go on.
He's nesting in Killishandra. He's nesting in Kilmalek and Kingscourt. But one of the things about the Celtic tiger was we had money and we improved our buildings, and they need to get into the buildings to nest. So, but now they're not like the messy birds. They don't make enough. People don't know they have them.
Okay. Now, we saw pictures of the birds there, and we'll just briefly go on to talk about the sounds of the bird. And as we were speaking earlier about, the sound of a bird can lift your spirit. You know, like the bird and the first merryman, and the sounds were going on in the background there. But it is known in medical circles that the morning chirp and the dawn chorus and the evening chorus as well can lift your serotonin level and cheer you up. Isn't that right, Heather?
I definitely agree with you.
As well, they look beautiful, but they do something.
They're good for the heart and soul.
Well.
Definitely, there's lots of evidence. I mean, they actually have gone out and done the research, and they have the evidence now to say that we need it. It's part of the way we evolved, really, because we grew up in a natural world. We didn't grow up surrounded by screens and iPads and whatever else. We need to get out, and it's part of the way. There's a word for it actually, biophilia. It's part of what we need to be healthy.
Yeah, back to nature.
That's what they call it, the green gym. Get out and walk through the green.
Okay, well, Heather, now for anybody out there like me is totally ashamed to say I know nothing about birds. I love the sound of them, but I can't tell one sound from another. Maybe you just briefly talk us through like a dawn chorus, which bird started off first, and just quickly how it goes through, because I've been on a dawn chorus walk and it was absolutely fantastic. But you know, just briefly take us through one.
Well, round here, the first bird that be singing is the robin. They're singing first. Then the thrushes move in, things like song thrushes and blackbirds and missel thrush. And then other things start to move in, things like chaffinches, what else? The things like tree creepers, the things like blue tits, great tits.
You're saying you're throwing out names there, Heather, but can I just say that I've been on a dawn chorus, and that when you're with a very good Birdwatch Ireland person, they actually can you know, they're so good that they can pinpoint and make you hear the exact sound that they want you to hear, and that's the most amazing part. You say, gosh, yeah, you know, I know what you mean by that bird, and they could describe his, you know, the repeater. You know, the bird that does the repeater.
Yes, that's the song thrush that repeats. And then there's another bird that says
amazing.
His name.
Everybody should go on a dawn.
Yeah, it's coming the 17th of May.
Okay.
17th of May, both in Bailiver and in Killishandra. But before that, we have a talk. We have when I was talking about the swifts, I didn't mention that we have a talk coming up on the 19th of March about the swifts, and we're hoping that people are involved in things like tidy towns and heritage groups will come along, because we can do something about the decline of the swifts, because we can provide, or we can ensure that the little holes where they go in are not blocked up, or we can provide nest boxes. So because they're clearly associated with towns, the tidy towns groups should be able to do something for the swifts. Just be aware of where they are and don't seal it up.
Okay.
Very simple.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Just hold up your atlas again one more time, and if anybody wants to maybe go into the library, and if there's one in the library, indeed if you ask them to get me in the library.
Wouldn't it be a good idea? Yes.
Yeah. And go and have a look at the birds. And there's a Cavan input of birds in
there. Oh, definitely. We were out doing the work.
And also, Heather, if anybody out there wants to get to know their birds or to know about birds and all that, they can go on to Birdwatch Ireland. They can go to your walks, go to your talks and go on the walks, and maybe get the birds to jump off the page. Thank you so much. You made it so interesting, and thank you so much. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Heather Bothwell, the chairperson of the Cavan branch of the Irish Birdwatch. We're going to go to a short break, but please do come back for the next part of the show. I've got a very special guest who's flown right in from New York.
Cavan Crystal Hotel provides 4-star accommodation on the edge of Cavan town. Located conveniently on the Dublin Road, just 60 minutes away from Dublin. With 85 beautifully appointed bedrooms and a number of luxurious suites. We offer wedding packages. With our one wedding a day policy, we guarantee to make yours a special day. Enjoy a meal at our award-winning Opus One restaurant, or have a drink in the atrium or residence bars. Feeling energetic? You can work out in Zest Health and Fitness Club, or maybe pamper yourself and visit Utopia Health and Beauty Clinic, or Avita's Hair Salon, both located on site. Situated only 5 minutes from Cavan Town Centre and local amenities. Cavan Crystal Hotel, gateway to Ireland's Lakelands.
And welcome back. You're watching Cavan TV's News and Views programme. I'd like to say thanks to my last very interesting guest in the studio. That was Heather Bothwell. Now, of course, I'd like to say again, folks, if you want to see any of our interviews, any of our programmes, do log on to Vimeo at Drumlin Media, and you can see all our uploads, and you can see any of the programmes that you didn't see and people told you were very good. Okay, as I say, I have my next guest in the studio, and I'd like to say hi and welcome to Connie O'Reilly. And Connie is the proprietor of the Crover House Hotel in Mount Nugent, Cavan. You're very welcome, Connie.
Thank you, Áine. Thank you.
And you are living in Long Island in New York.
I live in Port Washington, Long Island.
Hi, tell us all about that.
It's about 20 miles outside New York City. A small town, sort of like Malahide in Dublin. You know, a town like...
A marina type town,
yes,
yeah? Lovely.
It's on the water, and I've lived there since 1978. In Port Washington.
So let's get back to the young Connie O'Reilly. What age did you head off to New York at?
I went to New York at 18 years of age, and I had always wanted to go there because I listened to stories from my uncle who had worked on with the MTA, the Transit Authority, and I heard great stories about the Irish in America, and it was always my dream to go there, and I had that in my mind since I was 12 years old. So I was.
And what was your idea of going there? I was imagining in those days it wouldn't be like now where you've got the great support of communities and everything around you, but it would have been a bit daunting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people felt, oh, will I ever get to see the folk again, or I'm not sure if I've got work. Were you a little bit, nervous about going off?
Yeah, but nervous, yes, but excited as well. There wasn't, back in 1970, there wasn't much around in Ireland wasn't a lot of work really, and there was quite a bit of emigration at the time. So a lot of people were going to America at that time. And my older brother, Owen, who's passed since recently 7 or 8 years ago, he had gone a few months previous to me, so I wanted to join him. And
so that kind of cushioned it for you.
Absolutely, yeah. It was great having him there, and he just to have somebody to go to and to find work and get started.
And that was exactly the idea: to find work, get work, and get started.
Yeah. So I got work in which is now O'Reilly's Bar and Restaurant. It's on 31st Street and 6th Avenue. It's right beside Madison Square Garden, beside Macy's, so right in the heart of New York City. So I'm still in the same job I started as a busboy.
But you're now the boss.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes. But when I say I started as a busboy in America, that's what you do, clean off tables and you pick up papers and stuff like that around the restaurant. And
had you got a striving ambition to really succeed and to work hard? Had you an aim and you were going to go for it, and that was it, Connie?
I did. I just wanted to be successful and to be the best I can be in whatever I do in life. I just really like that, and also to do the things you want to do, to be your own boss, and also to put people to work. And it's nice, but the Irish are very well accepted in America, and it's very easy to to assimilate with Americans, because we work hard. We don't live off the system. We do the best we can.
Okay.
Okay.
That's live television,
Oh,
Connie. This is what's happening. Somebody's phone's gone mad. It's probably mine. Okay, so just to get back to the working, and you mentioned the Irish community there, and maybe that's what's going to bring us now to exactly what you're going to talk to us about this evening, Connie, and that is the link between the Irish and the American and Gaelic football.
Yeah, well, I'm involved in the Irish community in the United States and in various aspects of it, in immigration and in developments of various places like the redevelopment of Gaelic Park. It's a thing we've been involved in for the past 8 or 9 years. And Gaelic football, and I was involved in the committee to bring Cavan to New York for the 50th commemoration of the 1947 All-Ireland that was played, the only All-Ireland that was played outside of Ireland. So the famous one, the one we won actually.
Yes,
and
yes. What a way to go.
And it was great. It's great. Very easy for us to commemorate that. So we had a great committee, and we worked very hard in that 97 thing, and it was a great success. We brought the team from Kerry, teams on Cavan, their families of the people, of the players who played that day, even though they were deceased. We still brought them, and it was a huge success. And
how is this all funded, or how did it work? Or
we fund it by putting bodies in seats, really, is the way we do it, and marketing and trying to sell stuff. For instance, now we're bringing the Cavan team to New York. They're travelling out April the 8th. They're playing a game against New York on April 9th, and on Sunday, April 12th. And it's aggregate scores, and it's probably going to cost somewhere in the region of $100,000 approximately to bring Cavan and put them up in New York. So New York came to me and asked if I'd be interested in forming a committee to raise money to do this, and I said I was only too delighted to do it, because it's so easy for me to say yes, we can do it, because I know the people are behind me, friends that I've worked with for years, people that come to the fore with checks, and it's what from the Cavan community in New York is, how can I help you, Connie? What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need to make this work?
Actually, you were awarded with, what is it again?
The Gale of the Year
award. Gale of the Year, because of your work for those Cavan and New York associations over there in New York. It was a great tribute to all the work you did last year.
Thank you. Yeah. I was very honoured to receive that award. I humbled. I know a lot of people that work much harder than I do, and certainly I felt they deserve it more. But you know,
they honoured you, and that's fantastic.
I was delighted to.
Yeah. But you know what they say? You're a busy man, so they will. You're a busy man. You're into everything. You're very much into the Cavan Association out there in New York.
Yeah, I support Cavan and the football club and the association. I'm not really that much involved with them, but when asked to help out, I'm there.
Willing to support.
As a lot of other people. We have some great Cavan people, and may I say also great Irish Americans of Cavan heritage that also come to the fore to help out. It's quite an honour. Yeah,
that's good. Now your business is in New York. Your O'Reilly's is quite a famous steakhouse. Is it a steakhouse or a bar?
Yeah, it's a steakhouse.
It's a steakhouse. It is the big name out there.
Yeah,
and you're right there, as you say, beside.
A couple of O'Reilly's. One's on 35th Street. The original one is on 31st Street, and then they have Brendan's, Grey Bar, and Niles, which is a very famous restaurant, and Finn McCool's in Port Washington. So anyway, it's
great stuff. And of course, you've got Crover House in Cavan, which is doing fantastic for weddings.
Yes.
This year when weddings have started off again.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have Eamon Gillespie work for me. He started with me a year ago last January, and he's done an amazing job.
Yeah, we'd like to say that he's had so far, he's had 2 fantastic big concerts with all the Irish artists, the showband artists and things like that. Great.
And he's another, his spring concert is coming up on March 25th, I believe, and it's already selling quite well. But Éamonn is a very personable fella. He's exactly what I need for Crover, and exactly the type of personality I like to work with because of his can-do attitude. He's very upbeat and very caring as well, and very sensitive.
And it's great possibly as well to see a manager with a profile out front rather than just, oh, the Kilmore and you don't have a head for it kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, not the Kilmore, but a hotel, and you don't have a person who you could say, that's the manager, that's the person we want to talk to. Isn't it great to have somebody out to the front like that?
It's great. And Éamonn's a very smart person. He surrounds himself with he has a good team. He's a good team of girls up there. There are from local, there's no changes. They're local girls and local guys that he has trained up, and I'm very pleased and very happy about that because that creates employment around the area, and it also brings tourists into the area to see Cavan.
Beautiful place that it is, Crover House. And also Crover House sports a golf course.
We have a golf course, and
is it 18?
No, it's a 9-hole golf course. We don't have enough land for an 18-hole golf course. Who knows
but 9's good, yeah.
What might happen in the next year or 2. I believe that some land might come for sale, but we'll wait and see. And
some of the banks is a fabulous Loch Sheelan up there.
Yeah.
Do you like the game of golf yourself, Connie?
I do, yeah. I love to play golf. I like playing. I play a lot in the United States, and my son was on the mini tour for a while, and he didn't stay with it. You know, he got married and had his children. And golf is a tough game when you don't make a check when you're working all week.
And you know what they say as well, that some of the best business deals are done on a golf course.
That's true, yeah. It is true, because I've done a lot of business. It's not the business deals, but it's just the contacts that you make. It's really, because in America, you really don't do business on the golf course, but you get to know somebody from playing. And you get to know a lot about a person as well by playing golf with them, if they're credible, if they're honest.
Well, be in their company for 4 hours at least.
If they cheat on the golf course, and I don't think you want to be in business with them.
But just to talk a little bit again, I find it most interesting is that your link with you know, the Irish link and the American link. And like years ago, we used to go out to New York to work, and the people out there that had gone before us would help us now. But now you're bringing over the kind of like the Cavan team to go out there, and it's in turn helping the New York team. Isn't that what's happening?
Oh, absolutely. When New York approached me to see if I would go along with the funding for bringing Cavan out here, out to New York, the idea for that was to raise the profile of the GAA in New York. New York obviously have a championship game against Galway, and that's coming up, I believe it's the first Sunday in May, and a chance for New York to get a chance to play a top quality team like Cavan in 2 games. It really sharpened their skills. Because
there's great excitement, is there?
It's fantastic excitement. I know coming up to St. Patrick's Day in New York, there's always St. Patrick's Day, but the excitement is on that. But once that passes, it'll be the New York Cavan.
Yeah, so that's the next big thing we have to watch out. What date is that again?
It's on April 9th, which is the Thursday, and April 12th, which is a Sunday. On April 12th, it's going to be a very special day because families and that are from Cavan descent, from Philadelphia, from Boston. We have even people coming from Chicago of Cavan. Will come in with their families for an entire weekend. So it'll be a big Cavan day in New York, but it's also a great day for New York, for the New York Irish, and for all the other Irish and Irish Americans that want to come to see a good game of football. Yeah.
And as well, Connie, for the people out there who want the Cavan people out there, and hopefully you're all watching on the internet, they will go out there and see. But actually, I think some Cavan people might like to go out with the team as well and visit your bars and visit the steakhouse and get to see what it's like to be in a good Irish community out there. Would you think so?
Oh, I believe so. I was speaking with the Cavan County Board, and they were getting a lot of inquiries. And I was speaking with Michael at Cavan Travel, and he says he's getting a lot of inquiries as well.
That's fantastic. So it works both ways.
Yeah. So please come out. Like if you can, we'll treat you with royalty. And
well, now how about that for an invitation? They'll look after you out there when they get to New York. The best bars to go to, and the best steak bars.
Well,
and then also when they come over, when the Americans come over here, they can go to Crover House Hotel, isn't it?
Yes, we do get quite a few Americans coming in now. Yeah, we started tours, but and I'm pleased about that because it's my heritage is in my county.
Okay, I have one last question for you. I'd like to ask you, Connie. Over the years, Irish people have had to emigrate, you know, and now it's kind of like during a turn around, and it's time almost again to go out and emigrate. And over the years, you gave Cavan people and Irish people a chance in your bars as you had got to work in your bars. In today, if Irish people or Cavan people were knocking on your door, say, "Hey, please, would you give me a job?" Do you find that the work ethos, probably the loyalty, do you find is it still the same or has it changed?
Loyalty is still the same. It hasn't changed. If the person is a credible person and they were hardworking and they're honest with themselves and honest with me, that I'll find some way to get them work. And you know, it's unfortunate if we have enough time. It's unfortunate that back 10 years ago, when the Celtic Tiger was in full swing, we didn't continue issuing green cards, or that was left lapsed. So I would have loved to see Ireland get like 10,000 green cards a year and keep that going, because those young kids said they were coming out 10 years ago. There would be CEOs of companies, there would be in City Hall, there would be in the police department, fire department, and let me put it this way. America needs good people. The Irish are good for America. The Irish are good people, and we're very proud of Irish America. And there's 44 million of us, and we're very proud of our heritage.
That's fantastic. I don't think anybody could put that better. Irish people working out there, you know, you've got the upside and the downside things. People like yourself who've been successful, and it's a family business, and also it's a good hub for Irish people going out there, and for us to go on holidays to there and to go to work. But my question is, there's things can go wrong for people. We've had, you know, like where people have awful accidents, where we've had that young, where somebody got into trouble, a young babysitter got into trouble.
Yeah.
Is the help there on the ground for that? There are the sad cases as well, you know, like somebody needing medical aid.
Yes.
How does that work, Connie?
There's a tremendous support system throughout the Irish in America. Like, for instance, a young boy from Kinloch, say young boy, he's 50 now. He had cancer, he needed a bone marrow transplant and all that stuff, and he didn't have insurance. And I think we raised a little over $500,000 for his hospital bills. You know, it still doesn't clear his bills, but it's lovely to see that help there. You know, and he appreciates it. And there's always stuff like that. There's always a tragedy or some sad situation where people need money.
But then you have the good story after the tragedy, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's always something going on, but the Irish Americans and the Irish in America come to the fore, and they're very good at that.
Okay, so the next thing up is St. Patrick's Day Parade, and that's coming up shortly, 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks in a bit. Yeah. Are you going to have great celebrations in your businesses on that day?
Yeah, it's a nice day in New York. It's one of those days where everybody wears green, whether you're Chinese, whether you're East African, West African, doesn't
everyone's
matter.
Green for a day.
It's and everybody says, you know, I got some Irish in me, and it's just a feel-good factor, you know. And you know, the parade is one of the oldest parade in the United States. It's older than the country itself. So it was formed before the United States.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it was formed before the United States was declared independent, and. Fifth Avenue is a massive green. There are also various other parades in small towns and cities. Chicago has a big parade. They put green dye in the river so the water's green. Philadelphia, Boston, huge Irish communities. Even down to Savannah, Georgia, is one of the biggest Irish parades in the South.
Okay.
So.
Good stuff. So there you have it, folks. If you're going out to New York on St. Patrick's Day to do the parade, you can go out and go to O'Reilly's bar on what street again?
31st Street and Broadway.
Okay, and you can tell the folks out there yourself, Connie. You can tell them if they want to call into O'Reilly's, they'll get a welcome home from home.
Well, in the words of John F. Kennedy, if you come to O'Reilly's, say, if you're from Cavan, enjoy a pint of Guinness in the house. Thank you.
Well, there you are, folks. It was fantastic talking to you, Connie, and thank you so much for coming into the studio this evening and telling us all about St. Patrick's Day Parade and the Cavan trip to New York. That's it for my programme this week, and as I say, please do log on every week, the same time every week, and you can go back and see previous programmes on Vimeo/Drumlin Media. That's it for tonight. It's the weekend, woohoo! And for me in the studio, from Cavan Crystal Studio, please do take care.